Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? This is TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and it is 12:17 here in Hemingway, South Carolina. I'm on my lunch break, and I decided to answer some questions from the Who That Nation. A lot of people, they send me questions, they inbox me questions, and they just want to get my perspective on a lot of things, and I'm appreciative of that, like no doubt, man. Anybody that ever sent me an inbox or commented down on one of the videos or posts and wanted to get my perspective on something, it's always humbling, man, because I know you guys don't have to do that. You guys don't have to look at my videos, and I'm grateful for that. But I do want to answer some of your questions. I want to take maybe like about 10 or 15 minutes to answer some of your questions if you have any about the New Orleans Saints. You can just go ahead and comment down below. Not really too much Saints news going on right now. Of course, it's kind of dead for right now between now and NFL draft. Of course, we know about the new season is coming up. Free agency is coming up. They're calling it free agency frenzy or whatever like that. They're trying to promote that. Last year, it wasn't really too much news to report. Excuse me. Wasn't too much to report about it, man. I think the only Saints news that's worth talking about, of course, is Taysom Hill's, first round option that he has right now. The Saints have on him. Of course, if a team wants to sign Taysom Hill, they're going to have to give up a first round tender. So that's like the only news that's really going on right now in regards to, the New Orleans Saints. A lot of, people are wondering if Taysom Hill is the successor to Drew Brees. Is he the guy? Is he the answer? A lot of people are very high on Taysom Hill as the quarterback, of the New Orleans Saints. And it looks like Sean Payton is confident in him, or at least he's trying to portray it as if he is. I don't know what this is. I know that the NFL is a business. It's about leverage. It's about, who has the most stroke, if you will. So he could possibly be putting his first round tender on Taysom Hill for teams to be like, man, they think he's worth a first round pick. So maybe we need to go ahead and do this. So maybe it's like a bluff. I think if they want to get Taysom Hill, they'll have to get like a first round pickup and like $5 million or something like that would have to give to the Saints in order for them to do that. I already said it. I said it in a video. Y'all can check it out in more detail. But I don't feel like Taysom Hill is the future of the New Orleans Saints when it comes to him being their franchise quarterback. I think he will end up being a starter for the New Orleans Saints, but I don't feel like it's probably going to be 10, 15 years of Taysom Hill. I think the New Orleans Saints are going to end up drafting a young quarterback. Wouldn't surprise me at all if they don't end up getting somebody like Jalen Hurts in the third round or even Jordan Love in the first round. Would not surprise me. I think that if you look at this wide receiver group, you can get guys in the fourth and the fifth round who can end up being playmakers for your squad. So the Saints probably end up trying to get a quarterback. So it would not surprise me at all whatsoever if the Saints end up drafting a quarterback in the first round. But like I said, if you have any questions for me, you can always comment down below. Somebody sent me a question about Drew Brees. They asked me, they said, TJ, do I feel like Drew Brees is helping or hindering the New Orleans Saints? Do I feel like, because of the salary cap and him taking up the majority of the salary cap, would it be hurting the Saints? I think if you look at it that way, yeah. I mean, but that's any team. It don't matter who it is. Like if you have a really successful player on your team, he's going to demand the majority of your money. It's going to hurt your team. That's why it's very important for teams to win now. And that's why some of those losses in the playoffs really hurt the Saints. You look at back in 2017 when they had the offensive and defensive rookies of the year, and Alvin Kamara and Marshawn Lattimore. That was the window, that was the window wide open. You can feel the breeze, you know what I'm saying? No pun intended. And then all of a sudden, 2018, you still can feel a little bit of the breeze, but the window was starting to close. And now, you know what I'm saying, last year, you can kind of, the breeze is just a little bit, you know what I'm saying, on your fingertip, but you can still feel it. That is how we feel in 2020, man. That is why you got to win right now. That is why you look at some of the teams over the past couple years, man. This is no coincidence. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs. What did the two things that they had in common? They had young quarterbacks that were playing on rookie deals, so they were able to go out there and get players in free agency that can be able to benefit their team in order for them to get over the hump. They were able to go out here with the Philadelphia Eagles, go ahead and spruce up the secondary and also get some pass rushers like Chris Long in the building. With the Kansas City Chiefs, they were able to go out there and get somebody like Tyrann Mathieu, you know what I'm saying, to kind of tighten up the secondary. They were able to get guys like that. But when you're a team and you have a player like a Drew Brees, and it's a blessing, it is, no doubt. But you can't go out there and get a guy like Tyrann Mathieu. That's why when people be screaming, man, let's get Tyrann Mathieu. Let's get this pass rusher right here. It's easier said than done. This is a salary cap league right now. You know what I'm saying? So you can't just go out here and get these guys. That is why, I think last year they tried to woo Ndamukong Suh or something like that, and they tried to get him to come to the Saints. But, I guess the numbers wasn't right, and he ended up going to Tampa, which is, that goes to tell you everything you need to know about Ndamukong Suh. After that, I was glad the Saints didn't get him, because that just shows me, why would you go from a Super Bowl contender like the Los Angeles Rams to go play for a team that haven't made the playoffs since 2007 if you cared about winning? And Ndamukong Suh cared about money, so that goes to show you right there, I didn't want him on my team. And, I'm glad that they ended up getting Malcolm Brown, a guy who won 2 Super Bowls, but he played like he didn't have any. That's the type of guys that you want on your squad. So I was happy about that. But back to the salary cap, man, it's very, very important that you make sure you make the right decisions. As far as the free agency is concerned right now, there's a lot of guys out there that the Saints can go after in free agency, but I don't think they need to go free agency crazy. Anybody that has been following the State of the Saints podcast, anybody that has been following me, that I don't feel like teams are built through free agency. I feel like teams are built through the draft, because you can get those guys on those rookie deals. And once again, I'm beating a dead horse here, but you can go out here and you can get players that can go and complement some of these younger players. Rather, you get guys in there for veteran leadership, good locker room guys, guys that can contribute in special teams on the defensive side of football or the offensive side of football. There's a lot of combinations why. You look at somebody like Benjamin Watson. Benjamin Watson came into the Saints organization. I feel like the Saints kind of got him the second time around because of his locker room leadership and because of the type of guy that he is, man. And when you have young tight ends that, that probably just need that mentor, it was a really good fit. And also somebody like Demario Davis, man. Why you think some of those young linebackers like Caden Ellis and guys like that, stepping up their game. I seen an interview with Caden Ellis. He was talking about how he was looking forward to his second season. I mean, you can learn under somebody like a first-team All-Pro Demario Davis. I think a lot of people are trying to, kind of writing this young man off. But I seen a lot of good things out of Caden Ellis before he got put on IR. So I think the Saints do need to get themselves another linebacker. I heard some sources coming out saying that they might end up trying to get Jamie Collins. I think that would be a really good move for the New Orleans Saints. This is a smart linebacker, not the fastest linebacker in the world, but he's one of those guys that is going to be exactly where he needs to be. That is the recipe for a linebacker in the New England Patriots organization. They're not the fastest guys in the world if you look at it. I mean, Jamie Collins, Kyle Van Noy, guys like that, man. These guys aren't the fastest guys in the world, but one thing that they do really well in is assignments. You can't coach that type of stuff. I think that there's a mystery. There's not a mystery to the madness that is Bill Belichick. He likes smart players because he has a very complex scheme. And when you get guys that's in there that can understand football, the X's and the O's, and you combine those with the Willies and the Joes, you know what I'm saying? You can really do some championship type football. So Jamie Collins is a really good linebacker. I would like him for the Saints. I'm hearing stories about, I think, Tremaine Johnson. This is a guy that the Saints tried to go after, I think, when he was playing for the Rams a couple of years ago. And I think that when you look at some of the guys that the Saints tried to pursue, the Tremaine Johnsons, the Malcolm Butlers, you have to count your blessings and say, man, I'm glad they didn't get those guys, because if you look at Malcolm Butler wasn't playing some of his best football for the Tennessee Titans. It kind of seems like he has phoned it in. I mean, he was out there getting worked, misused, and abused. I mean, it was looking really, really rough out there, man. So, and also Tremaine Johnson, I mean, he was a shell of what he was playing for the Los Angeles Rams. I think when you got guys who are probably playing with empty pockets and then all of a sudden you give them money, you really see the type of player that they really are. You know, that's why I say all the time, I have so much respect for Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas got the big contract. This is something that these players, these young guys have been wanting for all their lives, man. You know, you've been playing football, Pop Warner, high school, college. You have played so you can get your family out of poverty, maybe, you know what I'm saying, get yourself into a really good position. And when you finally get it, it shows me what type of man and what type of player you really are. Because like in the words of Marvin Hagler, you know, it's hard to get up in the morning when you're sleeping on silk sheets and go out there and perform and work hard. You know what I'm saying? When you're sleeping in a Posturepedic bed, you know what I'm saying? When you're sleeping on Posturepedic pillows, you get what I'm saying? And you got remotes for everything, like opening the curtains and you know what I'm saying, and igniting the fire and stuff like that at your house. It's hard to play at that type of level when you're making that type of bread. But that's why I got so much respect for Michael Thomas, a guy that goes out there and plays as if he has $1.50 in his pocket. So when you look at guys like Tremaine Johnson and Malcolm Butler, you know, I question those guys and you know, what are they really playing for? Are they playing to be great, or are they just playing to be rich? Okay. I mean, you want to play for both. You know, in my opinion, I mean, you out there putting your life on the line, you want to get paid, but you want to be great too, man. You want that gold jacket. You want that busting cannon. I mean, that's at least what I would want to play for. Keith Lewis says, do you think if we added Antonio Brown, his production off the field would overshadow his drama and locker room presence off the field? First off, Keith, thank you very much for your question. Antonio Brown. Let's focus on Antonio for a second, man. Antonio Brown, incredible athlete, incredible football player. Without the foolishness, he would be one of the greatest wide receivers of all time, still is. But I would not want him on my football team, Keith. I would not want him on my team. I would not want him on my squad, nowhere near my team. And it has absolutely nothing to do with how good he is. It's just the fact that this guy isn't right in the head. You know, like he's not. I mean, if he has great production, and that's cool, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you want a peace of mind, you know, as an organization. You want a peace of mind to know that when you dismiss your football players, you won't be getting phone calls at 2 o'clock in the morning saying this guy been apprehended, or this guy, you know what I'm saying, is in a dispute or something like that, or he hit somebody, or, you know what I'm saying, like all kind of crazy foolishness like that. I mean, production is good. Would he blow away the competition? Absolutely, man. But you have to look at your team and what you actually want for your organization, man. And you don't want to have a guy that's in your organization and it's on a, you know, day-to-day basis. You don't know if he's going to have a good day or a bad day. And you have to wonder if his bad days are going to outweigh his good days. So would he be beneficial to the New Orleans Saints? Absolutely. But tick, 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 tick. You know what I'm saying? The time is getting closer. He's getting older. And you have a lot of young players that are coming out of college that probably going to end up, surpassing what he has done as a wide receiver. So I think that Antonio Brown is an incredible talent. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't want him on my football team, Keith. Sometimes, man, we got to just look past the talent. We got to look to the human being. And this human being right here needs some help, man. He needs help, and he doesn't need football right now. Right now, if we were to put him on a team, we will be enablers. And right now, this guy has to get his life right. I mean, he said he had like 18 court cases that was open. He don't need to be focused on football right now. He needs to be focused on how to be a better Antonio Brown. Not AB, but Antonio Brown. I would like to give Dez Bryant a new workout. Bobby Cross, thank you, man. And Bobby, man, shouts out to you, man. You always come through with the good questions, good statements. Shouts out to Bobby, man. Bobby been rolling with the State of the Saints for a long time, man. Much love to you. Dez Bryant, I would love to give Dez Bryant a chance. Dez Bryant looks like he's got his head together. It seems like he's a little bit more healthy. It seems like he's trying to play for legacy right now. And I got a lot of respect for not Antonio Brown, but Dez Bryant. I got a lot of respect for him, man. He could have easily went out there, went to the Baltimore Ravens, probably just got paid. But he put out a tweet, and a lot of people were kind of criticizing him for this. They were saying that, he said something like, I have to get right first. And people were like, man, getting right, man, what's wrong with you? But at the end of the day, man, and I can attest to this because I used to battle with anxiety and depression, man. No, real talk, man. Like, I used to battle with anxiety and depression. And I know, man, you can't think and you can't function right when you're all this stuff is going on in your mind and in your head. And, some people are like, oh, man, you good. You know what I'm saying? Why you because, okay, I'll give you a brief story if y'all can give me a few minutes. I stopped doing radio, I think maybe like 2 years ago because I was just so depressed, man. I was going through like a real bad time in my life. I was making a transition. And people were saying, like, why you weren't doing radio? Why you not doing radio? You're really good at it. Why you ain't doing radio? Why you ain't doing broadcasting? And my head wasn't straight. And I felt like I would be doing people an injustice if I was just getting on and talking and not really feeling it. And there's no passion behind it, So I can understand, like, how Dez Bryant felt, And now it just seems like he's loving to play the game. He's loving football again. He's found that love, and he's playing to be great. So I would love to give him a chance, man. I would love to give Dez Bryant a chance, and I think a team is going to give him a chance. I see some maturity from him. I see a guy that's a little bit more explosive than the last videos that I seen. I see a guy in better shape. I would love to give Dez Bryant a chance. So I think that he's going to end up getting a shot, whether it be with his old team, the Dallas Cowboys, or another team that needs a wide receiver. I would love to have Dez Bryant in the Saints uniform. I mean, from what I've seen, it seems like, he's really trying to resurrect his career. So shouts out to him. Steven says, Antonio just ain't right. It's a shame he's a monster on the field, but this isn't Madden. That off the field BS has nullified his attributes. I agree, Steven. I agree. He has to get right, man, before we even be talking about him. I think, like I said, I think we'll be becoming enablers if we say that Antonio Brown needs to be with the Saints. We're enabling him, man. It's almost like, honestly, don't take this the wrong way, but it's almost like we'll be feeding, the drug addict drugs if we were to put him on a Saints team. Like we would be the pushers, okay? We would be the plugs. And we don't want to be the plugs, man. We need to make sure that this guy is clean. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that he's on drugs or anything like that, but I'm just saying this, as a metaphor. We got to make sure that he's clean mentally, and before we even think about that, because he doesn't even need to be thinking about football right now. Let me see. I have a ton of respect for someone who can step out of it and make themselves better. Dez did what Antonio should have done. I agree. I agree with you, Steven. I think that Antonio has become a caricature. I think that he kind of bought into this whole AB spiel, and I think he's separated himself from actual reality. I think that he has embodied the whole AB persona, and he forgot who Antonio is. And Antonio was probably that poor kid that came from Florida that just thought about getting himself out of poverty and picking himself up by his bootstraps and going out there and work. It's kind of hard to try to find that person, but that's who he needs to find. He needs to find Antonio. And don't seem like Antonio has been found for a very long time. We can talk about the perfect hit on him. Maybe that caused some of this, or maybe it's just some of the things that he's going through personally, surrounding himself with a bunch of do boys, as I like to call them yabba dabba do boys. I don't know what it is, but he needs to find himself. I truly believe his workout and then the song afterwards was simply an attempt to get attention. Yeah, I agree. Let me see. How coronavirus going to affect Saints training camp? Mark, thank you very much for your question on the coronavirus. I know this is an epidemic going on right now. There was some couple cases that were found out in South Carolina, where I am right now, out in Charleston. Charleston, as of right now, where I'm at the radio station, is probably like an hour and some change away from us. The coronavirus is a serious thing, but I have confidence, and I think that they're going to find like some vaccine by the time training camp starts. I don't feel like it's going to affect training camp at all whatsoever. I think they're trying to work diligently. By them, I mean, the government and some of these medical facilities, they're trying to do their due diligence and trying to find cures. So I think around the time of July, I think they're going to have to find a cure for it. I have confidence in that. But I think as of right now, I mean, we just have to protect ourselves. For those that don't know that much about the coronavirus, of course, some of the tips, that you can use. Of course, covering your mouth when you're coughing, instead of using your hands, you might want to use your arm or something like that. Also, make sure you're disinfecting, your crib and stuff like that. Staying home when you're sick, in situations like that, man, but you can find out more information on cdc.gov. And the reason I know that because I plug that like every single day on the radio. So, I mean, the station manager wants us to do that kind of stuff. So that's the reason why I know so much about it. So some quick tips from TJ Jones and the State of the Saints podcast about coronavirus. But I think around that time, I think we're going to be okay, though. Let me see. Antonio Brown, Texas athletic gifts for granted. I think you mean takes athletic gifts for granted, not Texas. I'm pretty sure, Bobby. Yeah, he does. I don't think he takes his gifts for granted, Bobby. I just think that he just lost his way. I mean, man, money can make you a better person. It can make you a worse of a person. Okay. And some people say that money doesn't change people. It just amplifies who that person really is. I don't know if that's the case with AB. I don't know what's going on with him, man. Me personally, I think that something is wrong with him mentally and he needs to get himself some help. I think you need people around you that can be honest with you, okay? Shouts out to my homeboys, man. I got homeboys that I've known since college. And we be on group text together, man. And no matter how successful any of us get in life, we always call each other on our BS. That's one thing that we do. And I feel like that's something that you need in your life. You need some friends that are going to be 100% honest with you. When other people try to sugarcoat things and try to save you, and try to protect you, I don't want to hurt their feelings. You need friends that can hold you down, that can say, man, you messing up. And you're going to blow everything. You need those type of people in your life. And I feel like that's something that AB is lacking. And he needs to find it. He really does. Do you put Dez in a slot or as the number 2 if he signs with the Saints? Craig, thank you very much. I think that you put him in a slot. Let's not trip out. I don't want to say trip. Let's not fool ourselves and not believing that Dez Bryant can't run the route tree. Okay, I mean he that's one of the reasons why teams didn't sign him, not because he didn't have talent. It's because he suffered when running a route tree. He just wanted to run those fade routes and all that kind of stuff and play bully ball. Man, you can't the reason why people like Larry Fitzgerald and Steve Smith Sr. stayed in the league for a very long time. You know why Jerry Rice could play to the age of 40? It's because they understand the route tree. No matter how fast you are coming out of college, rather you running at 4.3 and got everybody all happy and stuff like that, the one thing that is going to keep you around for a very long time is you running a route tree. It saved Larry Fitzgerald's career when he couldn't play on the outside anymore because he slowed down. He was put in the slot. And he's still playing to this day because he can run a route tree. You look at people like Steve Smith Sr. He started off as a return guy, man. Y'all know, man. Y'all been watching Carolina Panthers, New Orleans Saints games for years. He started out as a return man, but he started to get better. He learned that route tree, and it saved his career. Now he's going to be a Hall of Famer one day. So it's not always about having speed and taking the top off the defense. You are going to slow down, okay? You are going to slow down. It's inevitable, okay? At one time, I'm not bragging or boasting. I used to run like a 4.40. Ask me to run a 40 today. I'm probably at about a 4.7 or a 4.8, maybe. Probably even in the fives. I mean, I'm not fast as I used to be. You know what I'm saying? You aren't what you used to be. Some of you probably could jump out of the gym when you were a kid. Now, at this age, your feet don't leave the ground. But, you know what I'm saying? That's just the way that things are. You have to learn how to adapt. And I feel like that's something that Dez Bryant has not done. He has not adapted. And if you put him in a slot, you can, I think he can do more damage because he's a bigger guy. He's a bigger target. He has really good hands. And you can just work with him and try to make him a little bit better when it comes to the route tree. But he's got to be willing to learn, and he's got to humble himself. So I think that he's going to be a guy that's willing to learn right now because, like I said, I feel like he's playing for legacy. I'm going to answer one more question, and then I'm going to get back to work. What is the Brees contract going to look like, and when will it get signed? Well, they're trying to get it signed by the beginning of the season. They want to make sure that they have it on the table, so they're trying to get it done by the 18th of this month. It's probably going to be between, $27 and $30 million. I don't see it being over 30 some odd $1 million. I think that the Saints have had discussions with, Drew Brees, and they probably went to him and said, man, look, Drew, we're trying to make a championship team here. We want to make sure you get a ring before you get out the door. This is what we're trying to do. And we ask that you take this amount so we can get this guy, that guy, and this guy. I feel like they're having these conversations. Don't act like, these guys aren't having conversations when they shouldn't have, okay? Even if they're not having conversations personally, I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy that can give you that information, okay? So if Drew Brees wants to win, if Drew Brees wants to be a contender, if Drew Brees wants to get over that hump, he would not try to take the majority of the money. And, he would try to take a little bit of a hometown discount. I mean, come on, man. I think Drew Brees has made over $200 million in his career. So, and I feel like if you want to do that, then, fine. But you're not going to win anything. But if you want to take a hometown discount, I think you'll be okay. But I'm about to go ahead and get back to work. But thank you all very much. This is the State of the Saints podcast. And you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. And also check out the State of the Game podcast on YouTube and on Facebook. Thank you very much for taking your lunch break or your time out to check out this video. I am TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And all I got to say is, who dat?